The locker room at the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in Flushing Meadows was buzzing. The world's best players were preparing for the final Grand Slam of the season, the US Open, the biggest stage in tennis. But the conversation wasn't about the defending champions. It wasn't about the world number ones. It was about a 21-year-old from Quezon City. And the voices weren't coming from fans or journalists. They were coming from legends. Greg Rusedski, former world number 4, US Open finalist, a man who had faced the best players of his generation and knew exactly what it took to compete at the highest level. I think the mentality is second to none, Rusedski declared. Everybody can play, but it's a swagger, it's the belief. It's in between the ears, it's the intensity. She goes tick, 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 tick in all boxes. Rick Macci, the legendary coach who had guided Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Jennifer Capriati, Maria Sharapova, and Andy Roddick to greatness. A man who had seen more champions than almost anyone alive. On hard courts, she takes it to another level, Macci said. She'll be in the top 5 by the end of the year. But it was his next statement that sent shockwaves through the tennis world. She could someday be number 1. The reporters leaned forward. The cameras zoomed in. The WTA was stunned. Nobody saw this coming. Because just 1 year earlier, Alex Eala had been an unseeded player ranked number 75 in the world, fighting through qualifying just to get a chance at the US Open. Now, she was being called the future of tennis by some of the greatest minds the sport had ever produced. I wouldn't be surprised if she's in the quarters or semis, Rusedski added. She's that good. Welcome to the story of a champion's rise, a legend's predictions, and a young woman who proved that the future of tennis had already arrived. To understand why the tennis world was stunned, you have to understand who was speaking. Greg Rusedski wasn't just any commentator. He was a former world number 4, a US Open finalist, a man who had faced the best players of his generation and knew exactly what it took to compete at the highest level. And when he looked at Alex Eala, he saw something special. The most exciting player on the WTA Tour is Eala because of the way she plays. She's fearless, Rusedski said. She takes the ball early. She's a lefty. But Rusedski's praise went beyond her technique. It went to the very core of what makes a champion. The mentality is second to none, he said. Everybody can play, but it's a swagger. It's the belief. It's in between the ears. It's the intensity. Rusedski pointed to Eala's record against the best players in the world. She had won 7 of her last 10 meetings against top 10 opponents, including 4 victories over top 5 players. Iga Swiatek, Elena Rybakina, and Jessica Pegula were among those she had already defeated. She had reached the 4th round of Wimbledon, her best Grand Slam results so far. She had won her first WTA 500 title at the DC Open, a WTA 125 triumph in Birmingham, and reached the semifinals in Berlin. But it was her performance in Toronto that truly captured Rusedski's attention. She won 7 in a row and then lost in Toronto. She loses to Anisimova in 3 sets, who last year made 2 major finals. So she's on the cusp, he said. And then came the prediction that sent shockwaves through the tennis world. She's going to be number 1, Rusedski declared. The words hung in the air like a benediction, a recognition that the future of women's tennis was already here. And her name was Alex Eala. If Rusedski's prediction was stunning, Rick Macci's went even further. Macci was the legendary coach who had guided Serena and Venus Williams, Jennifer Capriati, Maria Sharapova, and Andy Roddick to greatness. He had seen more champions than almost anyone alive. And when he looked at Alex Eala, he saw a player who could reach the very top of the sport. Alex Eala's game is on the rise because she plays the ball first and foremost, not so much her opponent, Macci said. Her tennis is about taking time away from the opponent, shortening the court, and hitting the ball early inside the baseline. She has very clean ground strokes on both sides. But it was Macci's prediction about Eala's ranking that truly stunned the tennis world. On hard courts, she takes it to another level. She'll be in the top 5 by the end of the year, Macci declared. Macci also pointed to Eala's mental approach as another key to her continued rise. She devours second serves for breakfast. Mentally, she's calm and displays very high-intensity focus, he said. But the most stunning prediction came when Macci was asked about Eala's ultimate ceiling. She could someday be number one, he said. Macci even gave Eala a nickname that captured her relentless, efficient style of play, the Philippine Machine. What I love about the Philippine Machine is she hits clean, he wrote. Very good balance to earn more allowance. But because she takes it on the rise and creates brutal angles with disguise and plays the game with her eyes. The tennis world was stunned. A coach who had worked with some of the greatest players in history was now predicting that a 21-year-old from the Philippines could become the best in the world. She is not afraid to pull the trigger and go bigger under the gun, and that is another reason she could someday be number one, Macci said. The predictions from Rusedski and Macci were not based on hype. They were based on numbers. And the numbers told a story of a player who had already achieved more than anyone expected and was just getting started. Eala had climbed to a career-high world number 18 ranking heading into the U.S. Open, making her the highest-ranked Filipino women's tennis player in the Open era. She had earned that ranking through a remarkable season that included her first WTA Tour singles title at the D.C. Open, a WTA 125 triumph in Birmingham, and a semifinal run in Berlin. Her record against the best players in the world was staggering. She had won 7 of her last 10 meetings against top 10 opponents, including 4 victories over top 5 players. She had beaten Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon, Jessica Pegula in the Washington final, and Elena Rybakina in Berlin. At the U.S. Open, Eala was seeded number 17, her highest seeding ever at a Grand Slam. Just 1 year earlier, she had entered the tournament as an unseeded player ranked number 75 in the world. Her rise had been nothing short of meteoric. No one want to face Eala, the Olympics website noted, not least because she is a left-handed player who can crush her opponent's rhythm. But the numbers that mattered most were the ones that couldn't be measured. The thousands of fans who packed stadiums wherever she played. The millions of Filipinos who had found a champion to rally behind. The nation of over 110 million people that had embraced her as one of their own. Though Eala is certainly one of the most interesting young prospects on the women's tour at the moment, one report noted, in some ways it doesn't even matter whether she wins a Grand Slam now. With a nation of 114 million people newly engaged in tennis, she's than almost any individual player could. What truly set Eala apart, according to Rusedski and Macci, was not her technique or her ranking. It was her mentality. The mentality is second to none, Rusedski said. Everybody can play, but it's a swagger. It's the belief. It's in between the ears. It's the intensity. Rusedski drew a comparison to one of the greatest champions in tennis history. The only person who was doing that before her was Serena Williams, he said, referring to Eala's ability to sell out stadiums. That's how big she is. Macci echoed the sentiment. She devours second serves for breakfast. Mentally, she's calm and displays very high-intensity focus. He said, but Eala herself remained grounded. Momentum is a thing, I guess, but it's not concrete, and it doesn't give you any 100% answers, she said. A lot of matches can help with your confidence, but it doesn't guarantee anything. That humility, combined with her relentless drive, was what made her so dangerous. She didn't believe the hype. She just kept working. I think to have this many matches at this very high level, having these high-caliber players, it helps me obviously just gain experience and more core time at that level, Eala said after her Washington title run. And I think inevitably propelling my progression and the level of my game. Because if you spend time at that kind of zone, the more time you spend, I believe the better you get and the more consistent you get. The predictions from Rusedski and Macci were more than just words. They were a recognition of Alex Eala's status as the future of tennis, a symbol of hope and inspiration for millions of people around the world. The numbers told the story. She had packed stadiums wherever she went. She had drawn massive crowds, sold out tournaments, and brought new fans to the sport. She had become the WTA's big ticket. Alex Eala is the biggest new thing in tennis, and she's bringing an entire country with her, one report noted. But the predictions also came with a caveat. Both Rusedski and Macci pointed to Eala's serve as the one area that needed improvement. The one area to win a major I still think that she needs in her game is to get that serve a little bit better, a little bit more powerful, Rusedski said. Macci went further, calling for a science-based approach to rebuild Eala's serve from the ground up. Looking at the big picture, the Philippine Machine needs to bring in science-based approach with her serve, as this is very complex and hard for most to really understand the culprit or origin and not a symptom, he wrote. If her serve is rewired properly from the ground up in sync with the racket drop, Alex has a shot at the top. But even with that caveat, the message was clear. Alex Eala had the talent, the drive, and the mentality to become the best in the world. She's on the cusp, Rusedski said. I wouldn't be surprised if she's in the quarters or semis. She's that good. From the cracked courts of Quezon City, where tennis was a luxury, to the center courts of New York, where she had become the biggest draw in women's tennis, Alexandra Eala had proven that champions don't just win matches. They change the sport forever. And the WTA, stunned by the predictions from two of the sport's greatest minds, now knew the truth. The future of tennis had already arrived. From the cracked courts of Quezon City to the center courts of New York, where she has become the biggest draw in women's tennis, Alexandra Eala has proven that champions don't just win matches. They change the sport forever. And when Greg Rusedski and Rick Macci, two of the greatest minds in tennis, declared her the future of the sport, the WTA was stunned. Nobody saw this coming. But Alex Eala is just getting started.